Chosen one. Urgent message about this Monday. God interrupted everything. This Monday was never supposed to look like this. It was marked, carved out, pulled out of time itself. There's something divine happening beneath the surface. Something you couldn't plan, schedule, or organize even if you tried. You woke up to a day that was rearranged in the heavens because God Himself interrupted the entire sequence. You didn't miss anything. On the contrary, something powerful just found you. This is no regular Monday. This isn't routine. This is intervention. The systems around you may still look like they're moving as usual. People rushing, phones ringing, deadlines stacking up. But for the chosen one, this moment carries a secret. God called a meeting in the spiritual realm, and your name was spoken with authority. Your assignment was revisited. Your purpose was upgraded. And so this Monday, this very specific one, became an interruption of normality, a divine break in the expected. And that's why you've been feeling it. That's why nothing feels ordinary, because it's not. This message carries frequency. If you're watching, it means the alignment has found you. The flow has connected, and you're being invited into something that isn't visible to the public eye. This is that kind of miracle that doesn't announce itself until after it has already moved. But right now, in this present moment, you're standing in the doorway. Watch this video until the end, and in the comments, write your warmest wishes and write Amen along with the number 99. These wishes carry weight. This is how heaven recognizes readiness. One wish can release a wave of breakthrough. Now chosen one, like this video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin. Something divine has shifted around you. And the reason it may have felt like everything paused, slowed down, or even collapsed is not because you're off track. It's because God interrupted the schedule of things that were meant to fall away. You didn't lose momentum. You were being recalibrated. This is the kind of pause that prefaces a miracle. It's not the end. It's the preparation. You were taken out of the usual rhythm to be moved into the miraculous, and Monday was chosen as the entry point for this divine update. You may not have heard the announcement in the natural, but something echoed loudly in the spirit. Now that's the only word that was needed. That's what God spoke to begin the unraveling. Heaven said now, and every delayed blessing started to stir. Every approved promise began to move. This Monday is not just about beginning the week. It's about breaking the cycle. That old rhythm, that old flow, that old story, it's done. God interrupted everything so the real beginning could finally start. There are moments in your journey where God doesn't ask permission. He steps in. He shifts timelines. He reorders outcomes. And sometimes that intervention looks like a shut door, a canceled plan, a missed call, or a silent day. But all of it is holy. This Monday came with interruptions because the things that were about to reach you couldn't arrive on the old path. The tracks had to be rebuilt. The wind had to change direction. You weren't forgotten. You were protected. If you feel like something strange happened recently, you're right. What you felt was the divine override. God paused a flow that was headed in a direction not meant for you. And He didn't just stop the energy. He rerouted the resources. This is why things may have felt uncertain lately. The delay was a sign of the reroute. You're not behind schedule. The real path is just now appearing. God doesn't waste time. When He interrupts, it's never random. This Monday became sacred because it carried a divine command. And even if you didn't hear it with your ears, your spirit responded. That's why you couldn't move the way you used to. That's why you felt the disruption. You were being pulled into the timing of heaven. And that always comes with a shift. Something got released today. You won't see the full manifestation immediately, but the shift already happened. The paperwork got signed in the spirit. The favor got approved. The thing you thought was gone, it's been reordered in your favor. This isn't just another Monday. It's a portal. It's the reason some things won't return to how they were. And that's the blessing. God removed what wouldn't support the promise. And in its place, He's preparing the unexpected. People may not understand why you're glowing differently, why you're quieter, why you're observing more. It's because this Monday changed something inside you. Your faith is hearing the new rhythm. Your eyes are catching glimpses of what's coming. You've entered the day that rewrites the pace. And though it may feel silent right now, everything is speaking in the language of alignment. This is divine code, and you're decoding it moment by moment, choice by choice, breath by breath. Don't underestimate this shift. God didn't just interrupt things to cause chaos. He interrupted what was never meant to define you. He interrupted the distractions. He interrupted the illusions. He interrupted the agreements you never knew you signed with fear, with limitation, with smallness. And in this divine interruption, he opened up a sacred space for you to receive what only the chosen one can carry. The atmosphere is now loaded. You may feel tired, and that's okay. Spiritual upgrades come with exhaustion sometimes. Don't confuse that with weakness. It's recalibration. Your inner systems are adjusting to a divine data upload. This Monday has carried frequency waves from heaven, and your soul is being activated. That tension you felt, that pressure in the unseen, that's the sign of delivery. The wait you thought was indefinite has now met its end. The sequence has shifted. The divine countdown has begun. And the beautiful thing is, you didn't have to force anything. God did it. He arranged it, moved it, corrected it, and released it. You just had to stay aligned enough to receive the signal. And now you're inside the moment of release. It may look calm around you, but don't be fooled. This is the calm that follows divine strategy. Heaven already made the move. The chessboard has changed, and you chosen one are being placed exactly where the victory will unfold. It's not your responsibility to rush it. It's already done. You're in the atmosphere of already. This is the Monday that confirms it. There's a reason the signs have increased. There's a reason your dreams have become more vivid. There's a reason people have started to reach out, ask questions, show up out of nowhere. Because when God interrupts, he doesn't just move you. He moves everything that's connected to you. Resources, people, favor, opportunities, clarity. They're all part of this orchestration. It's happening in layers and dimensions, and it's happening now. The past few days weren't setbacks. They were setup zones. You were being brought into a frequency where the promise could find you. You weren't wandering. You were being positioned. This Monday unlocked that hidden vault, and the things you thought were locked away forever, they've been reactivated. Not because of anything you did wrong, but because of everything God already wrote about you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being refined, repositioned, and released into the hour of manifestation. This is not theory. This is not one day. This is now. God interrupted everything so you wouldn't miss your divine hour. That's the urgency. That's the reason for the shift. You'll understand more as the hours pass. You'll start to notice how things feel different, quieter, sharper, more aligned. Conversations will flow differently. Decisions will become clearer. Connections will reveal themselves. And the old heaviness, it'll start to lift. Because the interruption wasn't to stop you. It was to deliver you into what's always been yours. This is just the beginning. And in this beginning, everything is being made new, including you. There are certain days when the atmosphere bends, when time doesn't move in its normal fashion. This was one of those days. This Monday carried a divine detour, a heavenly override, and what was once going to flow in a predictable pattern was suddenly struck by the hand of God. No warning, no explanation, just a shift. You may not have had words for it, but your spirit felt it. Something rare happened and your name was directly involved. You are not where you are by accident. You didn't randomly end up watching this video. Something pulled you. A spiritual signal coded in divine urgency found its way into your reality. And when God interrupts, he doesn't interrupt just for drama. He interrupts to deliver. He breaks what isn't sustainable. He removes what has silently limited you. He cancels appointments with delay and reroutes the vehicle of your destiny. God doesn't make announcements the way humans do. His voice can sound like silence. His presence can feel like stillness. But make no mistake, This stillness is a roar in the spirit. This Monday holds a noise that's only heard by the chosen. That's why your mind feels like it's been unplugged from the chaos. That's why the urgency feels holy. This is the silence of something ancient moving again. The river has been reactivated. All the divine pieces have been moved into position. This isn't random, it's calculated. Heaven has done the math, and the sum equals breakthrough. You may have felt like you were behind. You may have been discouraged. You may have cried recently without knowing why. But God saw it. And instead of giving you a late reward, He gave you a shifted timeline. He rearranged the route so you'd arrive earlier in spirit, if not yet in physical form. There was a conversation in the spirit about your future. God brought your name up again, not because He forgot, but because this was the checkpoint. You hit the marker. The checkpoint wasn't a moment you planned for. It was hidden inside the obedience you already lived. You walked, you trusted, you waited. And this Monday became your reward day. Quietly, silently, powerfully. You need to understand something sacred. When God interrupts, He doesn't just do it for you, He also interrupts what was working against you. This is important because the traps, the delays, the shadows that were forming behind the scenes, they were gaining ground. But heaven stepped in. The signal changed. The atmosphere cracked open. And what was being built against you got torn apart before it could even reach you. You were kept from something harmful. There was an accident of fate that God avoided on your behalf. You won't even know all the details. But the shift that happened this Monday saved you from something invisible. And when God blocks danger, it doesn't look like a miracle. It often feels like confusion. But if you've been feeling confused, drained, or disoriented, it's because something that was never meant to reach you got stopped. Cold. Your safety matters in ways you'll never fully understand. God moved the pieces around, not just for your elevation, but for your preservation. This isn't just about receiving something new. It's about surviving what you never knew was on the way. He intercepted an energy that was trying to collapse your confidence. And instead, He breathed clarity into your core. This is why you're here. This is why the air feels different today. The story changed in a realm most people cannot see. And you, chosen one, are walking proof of it. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to announce your shift. Your alignment will reveal itself through your aura, your presence, your decisions, your glow. Heaven marks its people with quiet power. And this Monday it left a mark on you. The normal rules don't apply to you anymore. The timeline you were tracking is obsolete. This Monday became the day that heaven changed the trajectory. The waiting room you thought you were sitting in, you've been called out of it. The scene has changed. What you thought was stagnant is now shaking. What you thought was blocked is now bending. What you thought you missed is now finding you. There are places where divine interruptions are invitations. This moment is one of them. You're being invited into a space where peace isn't passive, it's prophetic. Where silence isn't empty, it's full. Where stillness isn't boredom, it's power. The things that once haunted you have no access here. The old patterns have expired, the old limitations have been revoked. You are now moving in divine code. Listen closely, there are whispers happening around your name. Heaven is aligning voices in your favor. People who are unaware of your presence are being divinely drawn to speak about you in rooms you've never entered. God is building your exposure through spiritual resonance, not human strategy. That's the real wealth. That's the real access. That's why the interruption was necessary. There are doors that would have opened too early had God not stepped in. That's why you felt delay. That's why you kept hearing not yet. It wasn't punishment. It was divine timing protecting your legacy. Now the yes is coming, but it's the right yes. The one that doesn't just give you an opportunity. It keeps you in alignment. You're not entering rooms as a visitor. You're arriving as someone the room was built to hold. This Monday is your confirmation. God interrupted everything so that you could enter your designed space without distortion. So that when the blessing lands, it finds you whole. That's what this is all about. It's not just about having more. It's about being fully ready to receive what was always meant for you. That's the purpose of the shift. Heaven has cleared the pathway. The old battles, they're dissolving. The old weight's being lifted. You've been in the pressure chamber long enough. Now comes the release. This Monday marked the start of your expansion. From this point forward, things will begin to echo differently. Watch how your surroundings begin to reflect the internal upgrade. God has always known the exact moment to interrupt what wasn't aligned. And now you're in the wake of that interruption. The power in your atmosphere isn't imaginary, it's confirmation. The signs are everywhere. The alignment is not just spiritual, it's structural. You'll see how things begin to form around you without force. That's the evidence, that's the sign. This Monday changed you, even if you don't fully realize it yet. You've stepped into a sacred recalibration, and everything around you is responding to the new frequency you carry. People will notice the difference. Some will be confused, some will be drawn closer. Some will fade. Let them. You don't have to chase anything that's not part of the divine plan. You are in sync now, and the rhythm has been set by God Himself. This is not about guessing anymore, it's about knowing. Something deep within you already recognizes that you're no longer in the same chapter. You didn't just cross into a new week, you crossed into a divine timeline. And that crossing was made possible because God didn't wait for approval. He moved first. He interrupted the flow of events and inserted His hand directly into your story. Look closely. You've been asking for a sign, for confirmation, for some proof that the heavens are aware of your struggle, that your prayers didn't fall into silence. This is that proof. This is the spiritual alert that something shifted behind the scenes. You may have thought you were standing still, but everything around you has been moving in your favor. This Monday sealed it. The energy is already moving toward you. This is the miracle of divine reversal. When the odds seemed stacked against you, when the delays became unbearable, when every door felt locked, this interruption was formed. The gates weren't closed because of your mistakes. They were closed because the structure on the other side wasn't ready to hold you. And now it's different. This isn't about trying again. This is about walking into what God just prepared without needing to knock. Every time you felt ignored, heaven was paying attention. Every moment you thought was wasted, God was multiplying purpose behind the veil. The timeline you thought was ruined wasn't. It was waiting for divine instruction. And now it has received it. That instruction didn't come from a man. It didn't come from an algorithm. It didn't come from a crowd. It came from the highest authority, the voice of God Himself. The silence you experienced before this day, that was God building. And when He builds, He does it without distractions. He does it without announcements. And now that the foundation is finished, the door has been opened. You're walking into a structure made entirely of favor. It's been designed to support your unique essence. You won't need to fit in. You were born to fill it. There are divine timelines, and then there are divine interventions. You've stepped into both at once. The interruption wasn't a pause. It was an invitation to a timeline that accelerates everything. This is why the dreams have returned. This is why the clarity is forming. This is why you've been feeling like something massive is about to break loose. It's not just your imagination. It's spiritual proximity. The promise is close now. The pressure you felt this week wasn't punishment. It was proof of proximity. When something is about to burst, the atmosphere tightens. The shift creates weight. The closer the breakthrough, the louder the silence becomes. And that's what you've been inside. A holy silence, not absence. Presence. Deep, divine, unshakable presence. God doesn't need chaos to speak loudly. His silence shakes realms. His stillness moves nations. His whisper can part the sea. And for you, this Monday became the moment when heaven stopped everything else to address you. That's why the world felt blurry. That's why the time around you warped. You were being centered into your spiritual location. You have been placed into a sequence of moments that will soon reveal the fullness of what has been building for you. The people coming into your life now are not random. The opportunities showing up are not coincidences. They were delayed for your protection. and now they've been re-released under divine permission. That's why it feels sudden. It's not sudden, it's supernatural. This is the Monday that closed old cycles and opened the vaults. The version of you that felt buried by unanswered prayers is now rising quietly without announcement, but with purpose in every step. And while others are still trying to figure out what just happened, you'll already be living in the results of the interruption because it was for you. It was done with you in mind. Every interruption from God is a message, and this one, it said enough. Enough delay, enough fear, enough limitation, enough running in circles. The cycle has been broken. The divine has entered, and now what once took months will take moments. Because when God interrupts, he accelerates. And now it's your time to experience that acceleration. Not through effort, but through alignment. It's already in motion. You don't need to manufacture it. Just remain in the flow that found you. Because this isn't just your week, it's your beginning, a new one. Pure, unshaken, authored by God, and sealed with favor. Let the world keep spinning. Let the noise continue outside the walls of your awareness. You are safe in the signal. You are chosen in the silence. And you are rising into a version of yourself that no longer apologizes for walking in divine authority. This is the reason everything changed. This is the real purpose behind the shift. You were never being punished. You were being prepared, and now preparation is over. The door is open. The vault is unlocking. And your name is glowing in the atmosphere. You didn't imagine it. The pull you felt, the weight in the air, the intensity in your spirit, it was real. This Monday wasn't just another turn of the calendar. It was a checkpoint in the spirit. Something divine stopped the old momentum. Something unseen reached into the structure of your timeline and flipped the direction completely. You were walking into something that looked safe, but it was wrong. And God said no. There are days when heaven doesn't wait, when the delay is no longer part of the design, when the cry of your spirit intersects with divine urgency. This was one of those moments. God moved with speed, with power, with no announcement. He didn't wait for approval. He didn't need you to figure it all out. He moved. He interrupted what would have robbed your season. And now, because of that intervention, you're standing at the threshold of something that wasn't even on your radar. Do you feel the shift? It's in the way you breathe. It's in the way your spirit is lighter, even if your mind hasn't caught up yet. That's because your soul already knows. You've stepped into the afterglow of a divine redirection. This Monday was the turning of a key. A new spiritual code was released over your life. And now, even the obstacles that tried to hold you down are shaking under the weight of God's hand. What others thought was your routine was actually your refinement. While they thought you were stuck, God was forming something sacred in the dark. And this Monday, it was the moment he unveiled it in the Spirit. Not to everyone, just to you. This message found you because the interruption wasn't general, it was personal. God knows your exact coordinates. He knows where your heart broke. He knows where your mind wandered, and he still chose now to rewrite your script. This divine interruption wasn't just about your circumstances. It was about your identity. You're no longer permitted to think of yourself as unfinished, incomplete, unworthy. God stopped the flow of what wasn't true, so the reality of your authority could rise. This is the day heaven realigned your awareness. You are not waiting to become who you are. You are already it. And now everything around you must adjust. You may notice some doors quietly closing. Let them. That's the sign of divine architecture working. Some access points will vanish, not because you failed, but because God is filtering what no longer matches your assignment. This is the refinement of alignment, and what's coming next won't need effort. It will recognize you. You will walk into spaces where you are already known before you speak. You will feel peace before permission because it's already yours. There's a current pulling you forward. It doesn't ask you to understand it, only to trust it. This is what obedience looks like when you've been chosen. The chosen don't follow the crowd. They follow the interruption. They move when others stay still. They shift when others hesitate. And that's what this Monday was about. The shift has started. The rearrangement is complete. God interrupted the assignment of lack over your life. He shut down the echoes of fear. He muted the whispers of regret. And now all that remains is the sound of divine movement. The frequency has changed. You're not standing in the same spiritual zone you were in last week. You're standing in the new room, the appointed one, the holy place, the center of divine unfolding. There is a stillness that follows revelation. That's what you're in. This isn't stagnation, it's sacred rest. God is recalibrating your mind to match what your spirit already knows. That's why you may feel unmotivated to do what used to feel urgent. That's why your focus is shifting. Your inner compass has been redirected. The magnet of your spirit is now pulled toward what is true. And now the confirmation will begin to manifest. People will say strange things to you without realizing they're prophesying. Doors will open without the typical knock. Ideas will drop into your spirit fully formed. Conversations will carry clues and the heaviness you've been used to carrying. It won't find a home in this new frequency. This is what happens after God interrupts the timeline. Some of you thought the silence meant rejection, but it was redirection. God couldn't let you enter through a door that would have broken you. He stopped it. He interrupted it. Not to block your blessing, but to rebuild the blessing's path. He did this because he loves you, not because he forgot you. This is the Monday that heaven made room for your real story, the one not contaminated by fear, the one that lives outside of the timelines built by human hands. The one with miracle infrastructure. That's where you're walking now. There are energies that won't be able to find you anymore. Not because you're hiding, but because your frequency changed. What once drained you will now be repelled. What once chased you will now forget your name because the version of you that aligned with those old patterns no longer exists. God interrupted that version, and what rose instead is stronger, clearer, wiser. It's happening quickly now. You'll feel it in your bones. The decisions you make from this point forward will not come from desperation. They will come from divine confidence. The old urgency is gone. The striving is over. What's for you is flowing directly into your atmosphere. This isn't a feeling, it's a spiritual structure. Now its foundation, its covenant. This Monday laid it down. You are now under a new covering and everything must obey it. You are no longer under construction, you are fully active. The design is complete and the movement has begun. You've entered a phase where your spirit is moving faster than your mind can process. That's why this Monday felt strange, because something inside you outran what your environment could explain. The speed of God is not linear. It's layered, multidimensional, supernatural. When he decides to move, everything else bends around that motion. That's what just happened. Your reality is now adapting to a spiritual upgrade that already took place. Don't try to go back to what felt familiar. It won't fit anymore. The old comfort zones have expired. The places where you used to hide, the habits you used to hold, the excuses that used to soothe you, they've all been overwritten. The interruption rewrote your access points. You're not being punished for trying to go back, but you will feel uncomfortable if you do because forward is the only direction that resonates with what's now been activated in you. This is bigger than any one moment. God didn't just change your Monday, he rewrote your momentum. From this point on, there is no such thing as ordinary time for you. You've crossed over into the extraordinary. Even the smallest movement you make now will carry divine weight. Even your presence in a room will shift the energy. Even your silence will speak in volumes. You've become a carrier of divine frequency. You didn't ask for it, but it chose you. And this is where things get beautiful. Because now what was chasing you will begin to reverse. The fear that haunted you will begin to dissolve. The shadow of delay will start to fade. The cycle of lack will begin to crack. And the realm of overflow will begin to pour. This is the natural response to the divine interruption. When God says enough, everything else must listen. You may not feel different on the outside, but your inner world is glowing. Your alignment is bright. Heaven sees it. That's why the resources are moving. That's why the connections are forming. That's why you'll start to attract the people who carry keys to the next part of your journey. They're not random, they're sent. They've been waiting for the exact frequency you now carry. And you don't need to perform to receive this. This isn't based on perfection, it's based on positioning. And you, chosen one, have been positioned correctly. You stayed when it felt pointless. You believed when nothing made sense. You showed up when everything screamed at you to disappear. And now heaven has responded. This Monday was the delivery. It's going to feel like the rules are changing. That's because they are. What didn't work before will start working. What was once heavy will feel light. What felt distant will feel near. You'll find yourself walking into rooms with ease, receiving with grace, understanding without overthinking. Because your spirit has been trained for this, the struggle taught you how to see, the delay taught you how to wait, and the wait taught you how to listen. God interrupted everything because He knew your capacity had reached its limit. He knew your soul was ready for more, and He knew the timing had finally aligned. So He stopped the clock, reset the grid, pulled you from the cycle, and now He's reintroducing you to your own story, but this time from the seat of favor. No more small prayers. No more shrinking. No more, maybe I'm not ready. This Monday proved you are. You were chosen before the beginning, but now you're awakened into that truth. This version of you isn't looking for approval, it's moving in authority. This version of you doesn't seek validation. It walks in confirmation. This version of you doesn't beg for alignment. It is alignment. And yes, there will still be challenges, but they won't touch you the same way. You'll move through them with a divine knowing. You'll discern faster, heal quicker, speak clearer, act bolder, because the delay broke something open. And now the overflow has access to you. The world may not see it yet, but you're already living in the answered moment. What was hidden is now revealed in motion. What was pending is now approved in the spirit. You'll start to hear phrases like, "We've been thinking of you," or "This suddenly came through." But nothing is sudden in the realm of God. It's scheduled by eternity, released by mercy, and carried by grace. This was always meant for you. Even now, as you hear these words, something is settling inside of you. A quiet boldness, a sacred peace. That's the presence of the interruption. It never leaves you the same. It transforms everything it touches. And you, beloved chosen one, have been touched by that divine disruption. You're now walking in the rhythm of what can't be reversed. The interruption wasn't random. The message wasn't accidental. And your Monday will never be the same. The reason you feel different isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. What was shaken on Monday didn't just shift the environment, it rewired your access. God didn't make a temporary adjustment. He initiated a permanent rerouting. The moment you felt like something invisible had touched your atmosphere, that was the divine shift. You were moved from one frequency to another, and now everything that matches your new identity is being released. This is the sound of breakthrough before it echoes. This is the moment before the world catches up to what God already did. This is the silence before the celebration. This Monday tore open a realm you were never meant to be locked out of. You walked into something older than time itself. Something God prepared in the beginning before the beginning. Something that waited for your surrender, not your perfection. And now, without needing permission from the world, it has been activated.